Thank you, Zenred, for the news beats here, and welcome back to the studios of Weekend Deal. It is the Africa's biggest dealer. My name is Suleiman Babajia Usmana, and we get straight to the papers. Of course, Patience and Thelma are still in the studio. Now we start with Weekend Trust. Just below the masthead, we have we must avoid Rwanda type of conflict. Alaji Lowell Sani, details of that on page 212. Inside banditry in Northwest, details of that on page 29. On page 34, Rivers votes in highly contested polls. In 2 years, Lagos gets 3.9 trillion naira projects. Details of all the projects lined up here. Alaba Ragu Market demolition, our story by traders, details of that on page 9. Federal government U-turn admits agreements with ASU, details of that on page 16. Another Katsina local government signs peace deal, details of that on page 16. Now to Saturday Sun. How was a failure drove me into real estate glory, AIR CEO, my AIR Homes. Setbacks don't define your future, he says. You know, Thelma, Patience, we have been talking about the need to do, you know, just develop your skills and other activities, not necessarily staying with what you study, you know, in school. And he is doing well for himself.
That's great.
I bought arms for Katsina volunteers to enable them fight insurgents, lawmakers. Details of that on page 28. Soldiers neutralizes calls of bandits in Niger community. Details of that on page 29. Lagos records 8,692 cases of sexual abuse in 1 year. Okay, I know much later you take on how, you know, parents can raise, you know, better children, responsible children in the society. This is something that we must continue to do, because we shouldn't be having this huge record.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
13 months after Supreme Court ruling, uncertainty at local governments over direct allocation, financial autonomy remains a mirage as council bosses make counterclaims. Now, this is something that the federal government has been, especially the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, trying to achieve, so that, you know, we can have this local government autonomy, because oftentimes at the local, you know, area, you know, councils, it is always about the federal government. Whatever is wrong at the local level, state level, the blame is always
everything
shifted.
is the center, and it shouldn't be that way.
It shouldn't be that way. If you have this autonomy, it means that at the local level, the local government chairman will begin to do projects that will have direct impact.
The grassroots, that's what.
Now, 2027, Tinubu will have smooth ride if Peter Obi doesn't get coalition ticket. Asake, ex-president, Southern Kaduna People's Union. Details of that can be found on pages 21 and 23. Why I keep my man off social media. Mandla Ebe, actress there. Details of that on page 11. I know a lot of people feel that they shouldn't be putting their family stories out there on the social media.
Sule, she doesn't want a story that touches the heart.
Yes.
Let her cover him,
some
hide
things should be
him.
kept private.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
What you don't know, you can't spoil.
Interesting. Now, wealthy careers, the empty pockets, the struggle of Nigerian ex-international. Now, I know, Thelma, you've spoken about this in the past, on the need for the footballers to make sure they invest while the money is still coming in.
Absolutely.
Because at some point you will retire.
There should even be a plan right from the federal level, right from when he kicks the first round leather, right from the first kick. There should be a plan. Yeah. All hands should be on deck.
Yes.
Definitely. We are running out of patience, ASU tells the federal government. Details of that on page 16. Now, troops rescue 117 hostages, arrest 150 terrorists in 1 week. Defense headquarters. Details of that on page 6. Non-remittance of pension deductions. Workers suffer as defaulting employers pay 14.348 billion naira penalties. September 2023 resumption. Angry reps plan shutdown with speaker over staff hiring. Constituents funding. Allege only House leadership benefited from 785 staff recruitment. Accused speaker others of selective funding of constituency project. Non-payment of local contractors. Details of all this can be found on page 4. Now, Obasanjo blames successors for inability to curb corruption. Details of that on page 7. Now, the picture story is that of Mama Pud. A roadside food vendor opens her pot of soup to attract customers at Oshodi in Lagos on Wednesday. Well, I know this, we have all, taken our time with Mama Pud.
Even as you're saying, the aroma of that food. For that food to attract people, you say I'm a foodie now. The aroma of that hot steamy pepper.
Don't tempt me to visit one after the show.
We should go together, Josuli.
Polytechnics workers give federal government 21-day strike notice over salary arrears. Strikes seem to be flying all around this morning. Details of that can be found on page 7. Minister Defense price hike says Uganda woman purchased Nigerian passport with $1,000. Details of that on page 7. And on page 22, more youth needed in nation building, says Adebutu Kensington. Details of that on page 22.
That even synchronizes with our topic today.
Definitely.
When they are well raised, then they can contribute meaningfully.
Definitely. And the opposite is the
Yes.
case. All right, Sporting Sun. Chukweze's Fulham move hangs. Nigerian born Ngumoha to celebrate birthday against Arsenal. This is a young man that is, flying right now with Liverpool. Of course, he's scored the equalizing goal against
Osimhen.
Newcastle. We have
excellent
Osimhen's
step.
somewhere
That name will
today.
come in. I knew that name was going to come in.
Now, Palmer injured to miss Fulham clash. Of course, Chelsea will play Fulham much later in the day. It's going to be the first kick of Premier League matches today. Wolves to snub Aroko Dare over AFCON tourney. Ahead of World Cup qualifier, Chile gambles on Nwabali as squad trimmed to 23. Details of that on page 2. Now, Garnacho wears new look ahead of Chelsea unveiling. Messi drops retirement hint. Wow, I know a lot of people can't wait to see this, to see a day where Messi is retired from professional football. Tuchel explains reason for asking Alexander-Arnold. Details of that on the back page. Now, Onyedika closest to joining Osimhen at Galatasaray.
I told you.
Okay.
I told you. He's seen the way that young man has conducted himself, and of course, everybody is inspired.
Helma, you have to tell us something about this name, Osimhen. Trust
Come
me.
here and tell us. No, don't worry. He has to come here. Osimhen has to come here.
Now, London Derby, Iwobi Basi planning to spoil Blues party. Kickoff 12:30 Nigerian time. Rangers manager deflects a question on Serial. This as a future. Sacked Mourinho linked with new job. Of course, Mourinho has been a very, controversial coach. He was just, dismissed from his position from Fenerbahce just yesterday.
But he had amazing years.
Yeah. And I know in the Premiership, they can't wait to have him back.
He made people start taking note of coaches. Before it was just the players that had all the...
Well, that's much we can take from the papers. Weekend Deal continues with Thelma and Patience just after this break.